This is CBN NewsWatch.
And it is Tuesday, April 21st, 2020. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, the great debate as Americans want to get back to work. There are still concerns reopening the economy too soon could risk another flare-up of the coronavirus. A potential treatment for the virus from the bodies of people who've survived it. Our medical reporter Lori Johnson will be here to fill us in. The surprising news out of Israel: after more than a year of political discord and a record number of elections, a new unity government is formed. We're going to tell you how it happened and what's ahead for the Jewish state. And you may be among the millions of people staying at home during the outbreak, but you'll hear why one Christian leader says holding on to hope can help you to accomplish more than you thought possible. All those stories and more are ahead in this edition of CBN NewsWatch. I want to begin this half hour with the ongoing economic impact on American businesses and people's livelihoods, which have been getting crushed by the national economic shutdown, but could be going back to business as usual too soon, put lives at risk. It has many Americans in sharp disagreement. Dale Hurd is on this story.
Plans are now in place in Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina, and Texas to gradually open their states' economies after indications the coronavirus outbreak is slowing. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp says gyms, barbershops, and bowling alleys can reopen Friday, and some restaurants and theaters with social distancing. South Carolina is set to allow most retail stores to reopen, but only at 20% capacity.
We're just really glad we can have people in the store again.
Tennessee is set to reopen most businesses May 1st. Industry giants Boeing and Bobcat are also sending people back to work. And protests continue with demands that more states open back up. In Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, thousands protested the state's stay-at-home orders.
We're not subjects, we're citizens, we're free people.
In Phoenix, protesters faced off with people dressed in scrubs as hundreds say they want their economy reopened. Dr. Anthony Fauci warns it could backfire.
What you do if you jump the gun and go into a situation where you have a big spike, you're going to set yourself back.
But 22 million Americans are out of work. Republican and Democratic negotiators have reportedly agreed on the principles for a new financial aid bill, focusing on small businesses. That comes as the economy is facing serious problems. The lack of demand for oil caused the May contract price to collapse Monday into negative territory for the first time in history. But President Trump did not seem concerned.
Much of it has to do with short sellers. Much of it has to do, if you look a month into the future, I think it's at $25 or $28 a barrel.
And President Trump tweeted that he will be signing an executive order temporarily suspending immigration into the United States because of coronavirus. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Although the death toll from the coronavirus keeps climbing, there is some good news in the middle of this outbreak. More than 75,000 Americans have fully recovered from COVID-19. Now they help others struggling with the virus, as Lori Johnson now reports. The survivors have something that could potentially kill the enemy that's threatening the lives of hundreds of thousands of Americans.
Many people who have recovered from COVID-19 feel as if they have a new lease on life and are giving that gift to others.
The gift? Their blood, potentially loaded with antibodies specifically designed to destroy the COVID-19 virus.
You know, we have an immune system that was able to fight this off on our own, and that's really, really powerful.
Washington State resident Elizabeth Schneider tested positive for COVID-19 back in February. Her body produced antibodies that got rid of the virus and still remain in her system.
Whatever is in my plasma and is in my white blood cells is extremely useful, both for research but also as a therapy for other people.
That's why she's one of thousands of recovered coronavirus patients donating blood.
Each donation that goes for direct transfusion can probably treat 3 or 4 people. The protocol from the NIH allows us to collect our COVID recovered donors once a week for up to 20 weeks.
In Fort Worth, Texas, lung specialist Dr. John Burke gave a convalescent plasma infusion to his patient whose immune system had not likely produced enough antibodies to deal with the virus.
Patients in need who might be on a ventilator or about to be on a ventilator might be the best candidates to get a little boost in immunity.
Although Chinese doctors report 15 patients who received convalescent plasma were cured, here in America, studies are still underway. Meanwhile, doctors can treat patients on a compassionate use basis.
It could make a world of difference. It could be substantially different. The truth is, we don't yet know. It is an unproven experimental treatment.
In Columbus, Ohio, emergency room Dr. Howard Werman recovered from the virus and donated his blood, which has been given to critically ill patients there. University of Chicago doctors are also testing convalescent plasma on their patients.
They get a transfusion, a single transfusion of the plasma, and then we measure what happens.
They say ideally donors should wait a month after getting better.
The amount of antibody that's against the virus will have peaked at 28 days.
While doctors can't say for sure whether convalescent plasma works on COVID-19 patients, similar treatments proved successful against the Spanish flu and other coronaviruses like SARS and MERS.
If you were diagnosed with COVID-19, have fully recovered, and would like to help, contact your nearest blood bank, such as the Red Cross. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
And Lori Johnson joins us now here in studio. So how long do the antibodies stay in the blood of a COVID-19 patient?
We don't know yet. So we know that sometimes antibodies for other viruses like the chickenpox can stay in your blood for your entire life, sometimes many years. With other coronaviruses, we know that there are 4 coronaviruses that are part of the common cold. Those only stick around for 6 months. Then there's SARS, another coronavirus. They know that those antibodies stay around for 2 years. And then MERS, another coronavirus, is 3 years. So still study needs to be done on how long the COVID-19 antibodies remain in the body.
So can the blood be given to people who have not gotten infected to prevent them from getting it?
Prophylactically, that's the term we hear so often with the hydroxychloroquine tablets, and there is speculation. A lot of people are thinking that that's probably the case. This would be very beneficial for hospital workers to get a transfusion so that they don't get it or that they might minimize their symptoms, but it hasn't been done yet that we know of.
Okay. And what are the results of the testing so far?
So far, well, these started in only a month ago. So the results are very preliminary, and we've heard that about 600 patients have gotten it so far. It started out in Texas, and now about 1,600 places are doing them. 600 patients have gotten them. But again, the preliminary results are that it's beneficial for some patients. They're usually getting 1 transfusion of about 200 milliliters, which is about 3/4 of a cup of plasma. It's not really the blood, it's the plasma, the yellow liquid, and that's where all the antibodies are. And Johns Hopkins is in charge of all the research, and all these healthcare facilities are reporting their results to them. So we should have them within the next few weeks.
Impressive at how quickly science is moving. Thank you so much, Lori.
My pleasure.
Coming up, after well over a year of negotiations and an historic 3 elections, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and opposition leader Benny Gantz of the Blue and White Party have finally agreed to a unity government. We're going to tell you how it came about and what role the coronavirus outbreak played in that. And what's ahead for Israel next. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Watch Studio 5 Wednesday night at 9:30.
Remember for a moment what it was like to be a child. You believed every story you were told. You saw a world full of endless possibilities. What stories will the world's orphaned and at-risk children believe? We believe the Bible tells the only story truly worth believing. We believe that every child should have the opportunity to dream, the chance to take challenges and turn them into possibilities, the chance to stand on the promises of God, to recognize their place in the greatest story ever told. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Theirs is a world of endless possibilities. They are looking for a story to believe. We will tell them that story. Will you join us?
It has the power to influence weight loss, boost your immune system, and improve brain function.
We've seen an explosion of data on the role of the gut microbiome in health.
The free Build a Better Gut booklet reveals the latest information about the gut microbiome. You'll discover how your gut affects the rest of your health.
The gut microbiome has been linked to depression and cancer and heart disease.
Learn how to build a stronger, healthier gut.
The microbiome, if it's in good composition, are really protecting us all the time from more invasive things.
Get the Build a Better Gut booklet, free from the Christian Broadcasting Network. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut.
You need to make sure that your microbes are working with you, not against you.
And if you order online, you'll get immediate access to the Build a Better Gut series, a digital copy of the booklet, and related bonus material. Build a Better Gut today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut for your free copy.
Get the top political news and analysis from Washington on Faith Nation, tonight at 6 Eastern, only on the CBN News Channel.
After 480 days of uncertainty and political turmoil, Israeli leaders agreed to a national unity government. CBN News Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl brings us the story from Jerusalem.
Just before the opening ceremony for Holocaust Remembrance Day, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Blue and White leader Benny Gantz signed an agreement on a national unity government. The move prevents Israelis from going to an unprecedented fourth round of elections. Netanyahu and Gantz each tweeted their response. I promise the State of Israel a national emergency government that will work to save the lives and livelihoods of the citizens of Israel, Netanyahu said. We prevented a fourth election. We will protect democracy. We will battle corona, and we will worry about all the citizens of Israel. We have an emergency unity government, Gantz said. The deal leaves Netanyahu in office for the next 18 months as prime minister, with Gantz as the deputy prime minister. Then they swap positions in October 2021. The COVID-19 pandemic and its fallout are credited with pushing the leaders into an agreement. Gantz's campaign focused on getting rid of Netanyahu, who has been indicted on charges of fraud and breach of trust. About 2,000 Israelis protested earlier against a unity government, but most Israelis just breathed a sigh of relief.
I think people have been waiting for the leaders of both the Likud and Blue and White to put this unity government together. This is the kind of situation where you don't want to have a political battle. You don't want to have disagreements about what should have been done or what shouldn't have been done. You want the country to pull together.
The deal puts Israel on track to implement President Trump's peace plan and apply sovereignty in biblical Judea and Samaria when maps are finalized in July. Former Israeli ambassador to the UN, Dori Gold, told CBN News that for now the main thing is dealing with corona.
What we need to do is get this resolved. I'm talking about the medical side, and then we'll go back to the diplomacy, where I think Israel has historical rights and an urgency in light of what's going on with Iran and the countries of the region to make sure that we have defensible borders.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
And CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell joins us now from Jerusalem. So, Chris, what were some of the key issues in the negotiations?
Well, one of the main things, Ephraim, and it was a 14-page document, actually, that they had agreement. A lot of the language had to do with who's going to be prime minister. In other words, they've been battling for months now, and there's a deep mistrust between Benny Gantz and Netanyahu. So Gantz doesn't want Netanyahu to sort of, in 18 months, say, well, I promise this, but there's some way I need to continue to be prime minister. Same thing for Benny Gantz. So that was a big part of it. Annexation, as Julie said in this report, was another main hurdle, because Benny Gantz several weeks ago was saying that he didn't want to vote on annexation. So now he's agreed to that. That vote will come in July. That's a big thing, and that's something we talked about with former UN Ambassador Dory Gold, who was in Julie's report. He actually helped advise the U.S. for 3 years on the development of that plan, which includes the possibility of annexation. Another thing, appointment of judges. Netanyahu is looking at 3 trials or trial on 3 separate charges. So he wants to make sure that the judges that are appointed are more favorable. So there's a specific committee. He wanted to make sure he had approval of that. So that committee right now is controlled by the right. One more thing, Ephraim, that's very important. The first 6 months of this Knesset will only deal with the pandemic. No major legislation other than that. So they want to, this is a national unity emergency government, so they want to make sure they deal specifically with the pandemic.
Can you talk a little bit more about how this does affect the upcoming trial of Benjamin Netanyahu?
Well, it's complicated because the High Court, the Israel Supreme Court, could actually rule that Netanyahu is disqualified from being prime minister. If that's the case, then in the language of this agreement, they will dissolve the Knesset and go to new elections. So that was something Prime Minister Netanyahu wanted to make sure that he had protection in the shadow of these trials that are coming up. The trial, by the way, has been delayed by the coronavirus. It's scheduled, I believe, sometime in June, but that could be delayed even more depending on what happens with the coronavirus.
All right, shifting gears just a little bit. This is a special day in Israel, very special day. Why is that?
It is, Ephraim. You know, just a little while ago, several hours ago, there was a siren that sounded here in Israel for 2 minutes, and basically the whole country stops. It's all in remembrance of the Holocaust, and this is Holocaust Remembrance Day. So people just literally, buses stop, traffic stops, people stop what they're doing for 2 minutes, and they remember the people that died in the Holocaust, 6 million Jews. This year, there's a most unusual commemoration. Usually they have, last night, they would have had hundreds of people gather at Israel's National Memorial, Yad Vashem, about the Holocaust. But there was just a few people there. They had a pre-taped celebration with comments from the president and the prime minister. And they always have Holocaust survivors. They had 6 of them that told their story virtually, but just inspiring stories of how people survived that. One final note, Ephraim, is the fact that in spite of this remembrance, anti-Semitism is still on the rise. Julie Stahl, who you saw in that report, she was actually in Paris not long ago and found that anti-Semitism is on the rise in places like France and throughout Europe and even in the U.S. in certain places. So this is something to watch for, that the Jewish people are very concerned about, that anti-Semitism. But today was that special day remembering the 6 million who died, and the cry, never again.
That's right, never again indeed. Chris Mitchell reporting from Jerusalem. Thank you so much, Chris. Still ahead, first they survived 9/11, then years later they were both hit with a severe case of the coronavirus. We're going to bring you their incredible true story when we come back. Stay with us.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Imagine surviving 9/11, then facing a severe attack of COVID-19. That happened to a couple we introduced you to last year. Paul Strand brings us the latest chapter of their amazing story.
And the shock waves from the plane blasting into that building actually blew us back into our apartment.
Christina and Brian Stanton live so close to the World Trade Center South Tower that the 9/11 attack completely upended their lives.
Everybody's running around screeching and bumping into each other and catapulting over things. And I just remember looking at Brian saying, are we going to die?
The Stantons suffered health problems from the toxic dust for years, and their troubles brought them closer to God.
Our whole lives are changed because of 9/11. It certainly deepened our relationship with Christ.
Now they've spent the last month fighting the coronavirus after both tested positive.
It was definitely a battle, and you were very cognizant that you were in a battle for your life.
Christina almost died and had to be hospitalized twice.
Because the virus became overwhelming and it was something that I couldn't manage at home. I didn't have to be hooked up to a ventilator, and that was a big blessing.
Still, a doctor gave her a frightening prognosis.
Can you be honest with me and tell me what are my odds of surviving this? And he did actually say 50-50. Which was a shocking thing to hear.
She realized it would take more than medical help to save her and put out a worldwide request for prayer.
When you have a temperature for over 100 degrees, it's really hard to pray or even string a sentence together. And I knew that there were people praying for me when I couldn't pray for myself. So prayer is everything. And I invoked the name of Jesus Christ quite a bit during this past month. And there is power in that name, and there is power in prayer.
Still in pain, Christina's humor remains intact, and she's rejoicing that neither 9/11 nor COVID-19 could take them.
It was another angle of Jesus being there when a near-death experience was on my front door yet again. I tell people New York keeps trying to kill me.
Paul Strand, CBN News.
Coming up, although you may be one of the millions of people staying at home now because of the coronavirus outbreak, we're going to hear from one Christian leader who explains why holding on to hope can help you to accomplish more than you thought possible. Stay with us.
If you want to be an attorney with a passion for serving people and for excellence, Regent University needs to be high on your list.
Regent's award-winning law school doesn't just create lawyers. We create leaders, judges, prosecutors and defense lawyers, civil litigators, and leaders in government. Ready to become a purpose-driven, practice-ready lawyer? To start your rewarding career, complete the online application, submit your transcripts, and take the law school admissions test by July.
nutrition, exercise, essential oils, weight loss, and more. It's Healthy Living with Lori Johnson.
Talk about what's in this.
Join CBN health reporter Lori Johnson to get the latest information from today's top health experts.
This is fantastic.
Find out what you need to know to live a healthier life. Watch Healthy Living, Tuesday night at 9:30.
Woohoo! Hi, Superbook fans. Here's something else you'll love. It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! Whoa!
No spur falls, man.
Sorry, pardon me. Sorry, excuse me. Ouch!
Are you getting this?
Earn super points to win daily prizes, too. And so much more! Time to get back to my adventures. See you soon! It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
I am Regent's first ROTC graduate student.
Check out the CBN News Daily Rundown podcast each weekday with me, Caitlin Burke. Click on the show tab at cbnnews.com where you can listen and subscribe.
Most Americans are stuck at home in quarantine and following government mandates to shelter in place. For many, though, those limitations can increase anxiety and depression. But Pastor Ben Curson with Hope Generation tells CBN's The Prayer Link, holding on to hope during this pandemic will help you to beat those at-home blues, and that will also help you to accomplish more than you thought possible.
In 1606, there was a disease that spread through England, so William Shakespeare had to self-quarantine. And in his self-quarantine, 1606, during a time of disease, he wrote Macbeth, King Lear, and Antony and Cleopatra. So I think of Paul the Apostle, who, when he was quarantined in prison, he wrote Philemon, Ephesians, Philippians, and Colossians all in one bout. And so I think we can actually turn this negative into something positive, and we can hold on to hope, because while the world is on pause, we can be extra productive because we don't have the usual distractions in our lives.
And you can find more from the pastor on Prayer Link tonight at 6:30 Eastern. And, of course, you can find that on the CBN News Channel. Time now for your Tuesday Tweetable. It's a message I pray will bless you and move you to post, tag, tweet, and share with those in your circle. Remember this, if God brings you to it, he will bring you through it. This battle is not here to take you out. It's here to bring you over. Take comfort in that promise today, even when your position doesn't look like his promise. And be sure to make this a terrific Tuesday. That will do it for this edition of CBN Newswatch. You can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel and also at any time online at cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can email us at the address on your screen, newswatch@cbn.com. And, of course, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye. God bless.